Good afternoon and welcome to the Real Talk. We are officially live on the Zambian Youth Platform. I am your host, Luwumbe Jeremiah Mulanda, yet again with another real topic. We are discussing all things understanding the difference between mental health and mental illness. Tell your friend to tell another friend that we are officially live. You can send us your comments, your questions, and your contributions. Remember, it's May and it's Mental Health Awareness Month. I am also super excited because Dera High is just around the corner. 17th to 19th of May, we'll be having our regional adolescent health Indaba here in Lusaka, Zambia, and I can't wait to see all of you amazing young people come through to the regional adolescent health Indaba. And I hope you have applied because this is a very, very good opportunity for you to come and network and build your capacity. And also remember that the nominations for adolescent friendly health service clinic or health officer are ending today. So before the day ends, please make sure that you go to our Facebook platform. You'll find the link there and be able to nominate your favorite health facility or your favorite adolescent health officer. Now, away from that, we are talking about mental health because it's May. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. I have a lovely panel to discuss this subject with me. And of course, Shadrach Chansa, my sign language interpreter, we appreciate you, my brother. I'll begin by allowing the president himself introduce himself. Congratulations, bro, on being elected as student union president for the University of Lusaka. Please introduce yourself to people who might not know who you are.
Thank you so much, Jeremiah. But I want to be very humble. I want to let Viatoa introduce herself. Ladies first.
I like that. Viatoa, please introduce yourself. Viatoa, can you hear us? Please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm
We
Viatoa
can't hear you.
Mintali.
You seem to be... Okay, please. Yes.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good
Yes, we can.
afternoon,
Please go ahead.
everyone. I'm Viatoa Montali. I'm a SITA. Okay, great. I'm a SITA trainer, and I'm also currently pursuing my master's in clinical psychology at the University of Zambia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Viatoa. We are humbled to have you in our midst. Iga, please introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you so much. As Jeremiah earlier alluded to, my name is Iga Kapambwe, and I was recently elected as Student Union President for the University of Lusaka. I'm also a mental health activist. I'm passionate about the topic. So I'm grateful for being given this opportunity to be here, share, and learn from my friend here and the rest of the comments that are going to come through during the program.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. We are so grateful to have the both of you with us. Now, remember, just a reminder that the nominations for the Adolescent Health Friendly Service Clinic and Health Officer will be ending today. So find the link under this live to be able to go to the nomination portal and vote for your favorite health facility or health officer. Now, to kickstart the discussion, mental health. What is mental health? I'll begin with Viatoa. What is mental health?
So mental health is a state of well-being, physically, emotionally, sorry, not physically, emotionally and psychologically. So this is just not the absence of having a mental health condition, but being able to cope with life stressors, being able to fit in the environment and contribute to your community productively. Yeah, basically that's what mental health is to me.
Beautiful, beautiful. I like that. So just to be clear, mental health is the emotional. Yeah. So it's basically just like we sustain ourselves physically. So it's how you are emotionally and psychologically. That is basically what
Yes.
just mental health is. Now, I personally believe that there's been a lot of confusion between mental health and a mental illness. So, how do you distinguish the two? What is the difference between mental health and the mental health illness in this regard?
Okay. So I'll just use an example to answer that. So it's like physical health,
Iga,
right?
would you like to just differentiate for us what mental health is and what mental illness is?
Okay, thank you so much, Jeremiah. Viatoa had actually started answering the question, so I'll just literally pick it up from where she started. So, mental health is the same way we have a physical, state, the same way our health may be doing physically, which I mean might be doing, which
Iga, would
could
you
either
like to
be.
chip in a bit and just help us distinguish the difference between mental health and a mental health illness?
Yes, Jeremiah. Viatoa, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Yes, I was saying. So Viatoa had already actually even started explaining what is meant by what could the difference could be between mental health and mental illness. So mental health is actually uh, the state of someone's psychosocial state, someone's social state, someone's emotional state. So it's like it could either be good or bad. Okay. And then with mental illness is actually being diagnosed with a problem that has got to do with your mind. So the clear distinction in my view is that of being diagnosed with a mental problem. But for mental health, anybody could have good or poor mental health. It just has to do with, as Viatoa stated earlier, it just has to do with your ability to be able to cope with normal stress, be able to contribute to your community, and more than often, these words are used interchangeably, but there has to be a clear distinction between the two terminologies because they carry a different message, and also they carry a different idea. So we have to be very clear enough about these two statements. So I think that's pretty much it from me, Viatoa. I don't know if you have anything you'd love to add on to that, or maybe we carry the conversation forward and look at maybe some of the common mental illness conditions that you know of.
Okay, I can carry on from there. So some of the common mental health conditions we have depression, schizophrenia, substance and alcohol abuse, trauma, post-traumatic, like we've got PTSD, we've got anxiety, but then all these have got like a different spectrum to them. Like anxiety, for instance, has got different forms of anxiety. So those are some of the common ones we have in Zambia.
Okay, thank you so much. So you've talked about some of the most common mental health conditions, and I'd like you to maybe take it further. What are some of
Okay.
the mental illness conditions that are there, and how do these differ from mental health conditions themselves?
Okay, so personally, I really don't think there's a major difference between mental health conditions and mental health illnesses, but maybe we can talk about that different, right? The severity of a condition. It can be mild, moderate, and severe. So, for instance, let me use depression, a very common illness. So, depression has got mild, moderate, and severe, and has got different ways of being managed. So, somebody who's got mild depression can still function day to daily, and then someone who's got moderate and severe depression definitely needs to have like clinical pharmacology included in the treatment. So, honestly speaking, I don't think there's a huge difference between conditions and illnesses. Just that there's a stigma attached to the moment someone hears someone has got a mental health illness, they'll think it's a very, very dangerous things such as schizophrenia, but yet they all fall in the same category. It's like saying that somebody has got cancer and a headache. Both people are ill, right? But we don't attach stigma to saying somebody is physically ill. But when we say somebody is mentally ill, you always go to like the worst conclusion to say maybe they're mentally retarded or something. But then, just like physical health, mental issues are literally the same, just different treatments, different treatment approaches. So a mental health condition and the mental health illness, in my view, are the same. The only difference is how severe are the symptoms. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that actually speaks to what my view is. I was talking about how I think that mental illness comes in when it's actually certified that you have a problem with your mind. You are diagnosed and found that you have a problem with your mind. But with mental health, thank you so much, Hansel Mwetwa, for coming through. He's actually saying exactly what I was trying to say. And he's saying mental health involves people's emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make healthy. Therefore, it is important at every stage of life, from childhood and adolescence through adulthood. Very, very true, Hansel Motwa. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming through. Doris is also saying, how can you help a person with mental health issues? Because a lot of us youth are going through it. Okay, so this is actually the point that I was trying to drive at. Everybody has got some form of mental health. Everybody is either doing well mentally or they're not doing all right. So usually most people do not want to be identified as having a mental health condition or anything, or speak about their mental health, basically because of the stigma that is attached to the idea that when you speak about anything to do with mental, then it means you have a mental illness. Not to say that it's good to stigmatize mental illness, but I'm trying to talk about the misconception that is revolving around the whole idea of mental health. And with mental illness is basically that's where we are having the whole issue of being certified that you have this problem, it's medically proven that you have this, and how that can be dealt with is through a medical procedure. It has to be followed medically, and you get to be helped in that way. So yeah, I think we could basically actually even move on to what some of the symptoms and signs could be when we talk of mental health. I think I'm going to start with some of the mental health symptoms that are there, and then you could actually pitch in Viatora and tell us about some of the mental illness symptoms. So, as we are saying, mental health affects both, the psychological aspect of a person. So it determines how well you can handle stress at that particular point. It determines your capacity, your mental capacity to deal with certain things in your life. And it also deals with your emotional aspect. So you will start to see how maybe you might become irritable, your sleeping pattern might change, and you might start losing your self-esteem. Far from that, you might start becoming unproductive. Whenever you set out to do a certain task, you actually cannot get things done at the end of the day, because you have poor mental health. So basically, we're seeing how this sort of affects your ability to contribute to your community and those around you. And I'd affect the social aspect of your life, meaning that how you relate with other individuals sort of just drastically changes, basically because your mental health is poor. So off the top of my head, that's what I can say. Viato, I don't know if you have anything you want to add on the mental health symptoms. You can start by
Okay.
picking it up and adding, then you carry on.
Okay, so just like you mentioned, I think you mentioned something about sleep. So I love to think of it like in a three-way fold, like sleep, eat, and mood. So, how are your sleeping patterns? Are you sleeping well, or are you sleeping too much? Are you sleeping less? How are you eating? Are you eating as normal, or do you not have any appetite at all, or are you eating too much? How's your mood? Are you easily irritable? Are you angry all the time? Are you sad all the time and you can't even understand why? So I think those symptoms are really one of the most common symptoms you find across several illnesses and conditions, mental health conditions. in that it will affect your mood, your eating habits, and your sleeping patterns. So it's normal to have like once in a while, maybe for 3 days, I really don't have an appetite. But then if it persists for quite some time, or maybe you're sad all the time, you wake up, you're feeling sad, you're going to bed, you're feeling sad for a long period of time, that definitely indicates there's something wrong. The same thing with happiness. You're happy all the time. Someone has
Yeah.
told you some sad news and you're still happy. That's an indication to say something is wrong. Or you're constantly thinking about harming yourself. So I think most of us can acclaim to say we have thought of harming ourselves once, or maybe even twice in our life, especially when things are really difficult. But then there are people who've got persistent suicidal thoughts, or maybe they want to harm somebody else. So all those are indications to say there's something wrong with me. And not that it's not treatable, it is very treatable, and you just need to seek help. I think those are the things I can think of from the top of my head right now.
Uh-huh. Jeremiah, do you want to come in?
Can you guys hear me? I'm back now.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can. Welcome back.
It seems my network doesn't want me to talk about mental health, but I think one thing that we all have in common as we are digesting this topic is the fact that we are students. So how does mental health affect a student in particular? Think about student life or the pressure. How does student life begin to affect someone's mental health? What do you guys think?
Okay. Very, very, very interesting question you've asked. I think you could tell how excited I am to answer this question, basically, because this is something that, this is a conversation that we always have around my circle when we always talk about some of these things. So, usually you find that schools have different systems, right? Schools have different environments, different communities, and a lot of things are happening within those environments. So, I'll say, for example, you fail a course. What does that do to your mental health? How do you feel about it? How do you handle failure? Basically, people get to throw themselves in the trenches because of lack of, you know, deciding to actually deal with failure and accept it and say, okay, this didn't work out this particular time. So what I'm going to do is decide to work and change my formula. If your formula is working, stick to it. But if it is not working for you academically, then you decide to say, I'm going to change it in order for me to do what? In order for me to actually maintain my sanity. So usually you find that people fail to deal with failure, people fail to deal with, sometimes it's in our social circles, sometimes you want to become a part of a certain grouping, you want to become a part of those friends because they seem cool, or they seem like they have money, or I don't know, or maybe this girl seems cool, so I'd like to hang out with that particular girl or boy. These are things that are happening to us. We have to speak about them openly. So most times these are things that tend to deter people's self-confidence. They tend to be depressed, they tend to lose sleep, they tend to you know have mood swings. So basically, those are some of the things that affect young people while they are in their school environments. And then, sadly, lastly, some people experience sad realities such as sexual violence within these universities. These are things that Jeremiah and Viatoa are hardly talked about, but these are things that are actually happening and they are hardly talked about. So they have experiences that they can hardly ever open up. So you find that they carry these burdens on their shoulders without an outlet.
Great stuff. I agree. I agree with what you have said. These are some, in fact, if not all of the issues that you've highlighted are actually happening in some of these institutions. And I think what's really sad is the fact that we don't openly have these conversations. And I think in particular for the men, especially, or the boys that are in school, we haven't normalized the conversation around you going to your brother and saying, you know what, I think I'm not feeling it today. I'm emotionally drained. I think if you went, the reception wouldn't be conducive for you to begin to open up. But I think my follow-up question to Viator especially is, what do we need to start doing to ensure that a person can freely, for example, speak about their mental health? A person can freely confide in a friend and say, look, today I'm not just feeling it. I think I'm suffering from depression. Maybe it's stress, maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's PTSD, maybe it's ADHD, maybe it's all of these other things. What are the necessary steps that we need to take at individual level, at community level, at institutional level, to ensure that we begin to create a safe space for people to speak about their mental health freely?
Oh wait, was that a question for me?
Yes,
Yes, it was.
yes.
Okay, so
I know
I
it's a
think
mouthful.
firstly, I think the stigma attached to mental health has to be dealt with. So mental health, just like physical health, it's not something one should be ashamed of. But remember, if you are having a headache that's persistent and you feel there's something wrong with you, you go to the clinic to see a doctor and you see nothing wrong with that. In the same way, if we can start thinking to say, I am experiencing these symptoms that are not healthy for me. I am failing to cope with the stresses of life. It means I need to seek help from somebody. So, in terms of support, definitely social support systems are extremely important where mental health conditions are involved, because there are some conditions that, if not understood, can be frustrating for both the caregiver and the person having the condition. So, if we were to start sensitizing people on some of these mental health conditions and illnesses that are that exist and how to go about them and how to treat them, it would make life a whole lot easier for even the person who wants to seek the condition. However, most of us make fun of mental health issues, and that's the I think one of the reasons why most people fail to reach out to somebody out there, because everybody's making fun of things like, or either telling people snap out of it. Someone's telling you I'm feeling sad, just snap out of it, or let's go drinking. And this is where even other risky behavior gets involved, because I am failing to address the stresses I am having in life. I end up maybe taking alcohol, having unprotected sex, and this also leads to other issues. So, if we were to start sensitizing people about some of these issues that are really important in society, it would make life easier. And also, just being aware of the services that are being offered. So we have services being offered in facilities. Most clinics and hospitals have got mental health units there. Chinama itself is a very good place to start from without the stigma attached to it. I don't know why everybody thinks if I go to Chinama, I'm going to have some other issues involved there. But no, Chinama actually has a great space for offering services to people who are in need of these services. And also, if you were to check the Psychological Association of Zambia, they have a directory for the different mental health services available for us, both private and public services. So I think at the end of the day, while it might be difficult, if you realize you have a problem and you need help, it's good to just go and seek the help that you need, as opposed to thinking about what will people think of me, what will people think about me, because it doesn't help in any way. These services are available for you. Take advantage of them. Yeah, that's what I can really say.
Can I add on to what Viatoa has said, Jeremiah?
Yeah, yeah.
I think another thing that could help us is we need to be deliberate as a people within our circle, and we need to be a brother's keeper. This is a principle that I feel is very much golden. So let's be deliberate to get interested in conversations such as this one. When the ZYP brings such a conversation, be deliberate to learn and listen, contribute, say something, and just also be deliberate about reading books on how you can, improve your mental health and share these things. These spaces, we do not. Sometimes it might be too much of a stress to move to a certain, different environment for you to be able to access certain services. But imagine a generation where we as young people have taken a deliberate step to have a support group within our friendship circles. Let's say 10, 15 of us, make it a priority to say every Friday we are going to be meeting and just discussing, catching up, looking into our lives. What is it that is going on? I feel like that would be helping us because it's a support group. And most times I've learned that psychologically, most times people we want only to be heard. Even if a solution is not provided, there's a way that
Yeah.
you feel when you've talked about something. Even if somebody's not providing a solution, as long as they have listened to you, they've heard your problems, they've heard your situation, it sort of helps. And then on top of that, expectations also from the people that we look up to, our parents. I'm speaking this specifically about the university environment. Expectations from our parents, they have certain standards set for you. I think if we have anyone parenting here, you're watching us, this is something that you need to learn, and I hope you pass it on to your fellow parents, that sometimes let your children have a free flow of their potential. Let them discover themselves up to who they really are and what they would want to do. Just recently, I attended a meeting and we spoke so much on how you need to be intrinsically motivated for you to be able to progress and succeed in life. So if that is exerted on you, then your mental health would be definitely affected. So we can improve it that way.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Iga. You remember you can send us your comments, your questions, your contributions here, and we'll be able to read them. Joyce Banda says the terms mental health and mental illness are sometimes interchanged, but they differ in meaning. While mental health refers to anyone's state of mental, emotional well being, mental illnesses are diagnosed conditions that affect thoughts and behaviors. Although anyone can have moments of poor mental health, not everyone has a mental illness. On the other hand, someone with a mental illness can achieve sound mental health. Thank you so much, Joyce Banda, for coming through with just clarifying. Victoria also says, great topic. We are raising awareness on mental health because a lot of young people take it lightly and a lot of stigma is attached to it. Please continue with the great conversations as this is Mental Health Awareness Month, a great time. Kudos. Thank you so much, Victoria, for coming through. Doris also says mental health awareness, I think, can help reduce stigma people around us as people only fear what they don't know. True, Doris. We need to begin to raise awareness around mental health because people need to know what it really is for us to be able to reduce stigma. Do we have any more comments? You can send us your questions, your comments, your contributions here live on the show. We'll be able to read them to my panel of guests and hopefully they can be able to respond. Now, even as we draw to the conclusion of this conversation, there are people out there who have sound mental health. They are okay emotionally, they are okay psychologically. How can they also safeguard their mental well-being? How can they ensure that they begin to just continue being these happy people? Of course, we can't guarantee happiness because life happens, the circumstances beyond our control. But how can a person be able to safeguard his or her own mental health? Viatoa, could you perhaps take that one up?
Okay, yeah, sure. So one of the best ways of safeguarding your mental health is by, so probably you've developed coping and resilience systems before you might be hit by another stressing event in life. So exercise, regular exercise is very important for your mental well-being. It also helps release hormones that make you happy. Regular exercise, conversations, keeping good conversations, healthy conversations. Some of the things that cause people to have poor mental health is because of conversations they're having. You're constantly talking about things you dread in life. It will definitely not help you in any way. A good diet. I mean, I don't think most of us really pay attention to such things, but a good diet will actually help you have good mental health. Your sleep patterns. How are you sleeping? Having enough rest. 8 hours of rest is very important. Not staying up late watching Netflix series because then you fail to cope with what you're supposed to do during the day and you feel overwhelmed, which might lead to poor mental health. What you are reading, also very important. What are we reading? Reading material that is helpful for you as a human being. What are your coping strategies when life happens? What do you do when you're stressed? Are you going to partake in activities that will actually just worsen things, such as continuously alcohol taking, substance use, having sex anyhow? Or if you're feeling very stressed, going back to things like exercising, finding someone to talk to. I think so that was really emphasized. Finding people we can talk about the issues that are stressing us. I mean, if I'm feeling maybe stressed today, probably I won't need a mental health specialist, but I can talk to a friend, a family member, or a mentor who can help you deal with that stress at that particular time. I think those are some of the things we can do to ensure we keep our good mental health.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Viator. Now, Iga, coming to you, in an institution like a university, it's high pressure. You know, there's always pressure left, right, and center. How can someone ensure that they safeguard their mental health when you are in university or in school, any type of arrangement?
Um, Thank you so much, Jeremiah. I think I'll start by selling this initiative. I don't know how much I'm going to be paid, but I'm going to sell it. So, uh, universities could start initiatives such as safe spaces, like have an institutional safe space where these young people or students are trained, maybe by the student counselor or even professionals. They are trained in dealing with people that are struggling with their mental health. Okay, when they're trained, so that sometimes it's harder to approach a student counselor that seems older than me. Sometimes it feels like, okay, if I speak to Jeremiah, who's of my age, and he tells me something, then it means, okay, but yeah, he's being for real because this is somebody my age. You know what I mean? I don't know
Mm,
the the psychology around that. So I think
mm,
as universities, we could come up with initiatives where we come up with safe spaces and make sure that as many young people are trained, as many young people as possible are trained in the field of mental health, so that at the end of the day, even after they leave universities, they'll go out as ambassadors. They will have been taught life skills that will not only help them build a good mental health university, but also a community even outside the university. So I have a question as we conclude. I
mm.
have a question. Would it be safe to say that mental illness falls under mental health?
I'm guessing that question is for me. What I have learned from the both of you that most definitely not. These are two different things, and I like how Joyce also just critically outlined that mental health is very, very different from a mental illness. Mental health is basically just, the emotional well-being, the psychological well-being of any individual, whilst the mental health illness is something that can be diagnosed by a professional healthcare provider. So I have learned to distinguish between the two and make sure that I do not confuse the two. Chisenga Chilufia coming through with a comment, guys, and he says, identifying mental issues still remains a challenge. We only come to notice when it's late, as it is gradual. We need such conversations over time. Thank you so much, Chisenga, for coming through. Remember, continue sending us your questions, your comments, and your contributions. We are discussing understanding the difference between mental health and mental illness. Now, guys, what is the take home message from this insightful conversation? What should the viewers out there take from this conversation? And I'm guessing it's ladies first, Viatoa.
Oh wow. Okay. I think what I would love the viewers to take with them is that there is no shame in having a mental condition. There's no shame at all. And if you seek the right help, you definitely can live with a mental condition and still function like a normal human being. So there's no shame to it. Seek help where you can. Do not use unhelpful coping strategies for some of these stressors we have in life. Seek help. That's my take home message. Seek help. Don't be ashamed of it. Seek help. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Viatoa, for coming through. Iga, what is the take home message from this conversation?
Okay, my take home message is be the help.
Mm,
Be the help. Everybody keeps telling like it's we always tell ourselves to always seek help, but we forget about the idea of what are you doing in your capacity. So coupling Biatoa's message, so seek help and be the help.
I like that. I like how the two resonate with each other. So Viatoa says, seek help. And then Iga says, even as you're seeking the help, be the help. Because it's also very, very important to acknowledge that we are all going through something. I think that's one thing that
That's
we
true.
can establish. Big, small,
Mm-hmm.
medium, large, extra large, we are going through something. It's either you're coming out of a storm, you're in a storm, or you're leaving a storm. So it's very important to also be there for another person. Thank you so much to Iga and Viatoa for coming through. And thank you so much to the viewers out there. We were discussing all things, understanding the difference between mental health and mental illness. Remember, mental illness. Remember, it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we continue raising awareness towards mental health. I was your presenter, Luwumbe Jeremiah Mulanda. Until next week, when we now continue building up to the regional adolescent health endeavor. And I hope you have registered. If you haven't, please visit our website and register. And remember, you can also register for membership at www.zyplatform.org. Until next time, we thank you so much for joining us. Bye bye.